Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to a special video. It's about Garry Kasparov as it is his birthday today, and first of all I wanted to wish him all of the best. Happy birthday Garry Kasparov. I really hope that he maybe can see some of my videos, as I think that he's really the best chess player in history. You may agree, you may disagree, but in my opinion, Garry is really the GOAT, and he played really this attractive style of playing. He had also some great positional games, and today I wanted to show you such a game. It was against Tigran Petrosian, the former world champion. The game was played in 1982 in Bugojno, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and it's really also a special thing for me as I'm born in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So here I really decided to show you this game. Don't be worried, it's not really a boring positional game. It's really sort of a ball constrictor game, because it's really an incredible thing that in this game Tigran Petrosian still had two rooks, the queen, a bishop and a knight on the board, and couldn't move any of these pieces. So here Garry Kasparov, still in 1982, he wasn't the world champion, but he really outplayed the former world champion Tigran Petrosian with such a great style, with an immortal, really paralyzing game, and that's why I think this will be a perfect game for his birthday, and that's why I decided to show this one. So let's check out the game. We have with the white pieces the legendary Garry d4, in the game knight to f6 played by Petrosian. We have c4, and after e6 the Nimzo Indian sort of here after knight to f3, which is my style of playing. Sort of, I really like this move, knight to f3, this counter Nimzo's Indian setup, as you don't have to worry so much about this bishop to b4 move. You still can play something like knight from b to d2 or bishop to d2 in order to cover, so you don't have to make this knight to c3 move and risk sort of a double pawn situation, which basically is the main idea of the Nimzo Indian setup: to double up pawns, then create sort of a block position, try to get use of this light square bishop with bishop to b7 moves, and maybe occupy then the weakness in white's position. It's the square on e4. So that's why I really like this counter Nimzo Indian setup with the move knight to f3. Here Garry Kasparov played bishop to d2, not knight to d2, also a common a good move in this opening theory. So in the game queen to e7 was played. One of the main lines is also to play back with the bishop to e7. It seems like a strange move, but still it's not a problem, as white has also moved the bishop, so white could play maybe knight to c3, but now d5, and after bishop to f4 we would transpose into sort of a Harvard's attack of the Queen's Gambit decline. Here e3, and now c5 would be the main setup of the Harvard's attack. But okay, this is enough of theory. I think here after the move bishop to d2, queen to e7 was played by Petrosian. He didn't play this move bishop to e7, queen to e7, trying to force Kasparov here to take the bishop and then come with the queen actively into the game. But of course Garry Kasparov is not interested to invite the queen into the attack. He plays a normal developing move g3 with the preparation to play the move bishop to g2. And there is one problem about this position already for black, because in order to make something happen, black wants to keep the position static with the potential d5 move. Because after the potential bishop to g2, then this light square diagonal would be really a tough battle for black. So that's why one of the main ideas is to push the pawn on d5 and close the light squares. But when you do that, when you close the light squares, you have also closed your light square bishop. That's the main problem, and that's the main theme, I think, in this particular game. This bishop on c8 will be really a problem in black's position. And I've also analyzed in my Basics in Chess series, if you're familiar more with my YouTube chess channel, I've analyzed the potential weaknesses that you can target in your opponent's position. So the main weaknesses are of course a weak square or weak pawn, but now you see how problematic really a simple piece can be if you don't manage to develop it. Here in the game bishop to d2 was played by Petrosian. After queen to d2, Of course, we don't want to take with the knight, because knight to c3, it's the move that we want to play. Then we have a better, powerful control of the center. Queen takes d2 was played, and now castling played by Petrosian. If you, for instance, try immediately knight to e4, it's not a problem. We can play queen to c2, and now after d5, we can simply play knight to c3. Knight takes c3 can be a continuation of black's. B takes c3, and after something like d takes c4, I think e4 is perfectly fine with the preparation to play something like bishop to g2, or even take out this pawn immediately. If black, for instance, tries to cover the pawn with b5, we can immediately play the move a4 and crack the position, try to split these pawns and grab this pawn. If we manage to do that, if we grab this pawn on c4, then white is continuing the game, of course, with a powerful pawn central control. So that's why castling played by Petrosian. We have bishop to g2, d5, and now castling also by Kasparov. And now d takes c4 was played by Petrosian, which is still common theory. But you see again these problems about this Lycor bishop. Still, it's blocked out by this pawn on e6, and you cannot develop it here on b7, as you have always these tactical problems with knight to e5 and opening the light square diagonal. So that's why knight to a3 here by Kasparov, trying to take out finally this pawn, which is of course an extra pawn, but it's a weak pawn. Defending this pawn doesn't make any sense. Basically, you cannot defend. And here, after move knight to a3, we have c5. Finally, sort of a counterplay by Petrosian, trying to open the position, try to crack really this pawn central control that white has. White's main positional idea would be probably to push somehow the pawn on e4. So far, it's not possible, but if you could just imagine, if white managed to grab space here in the center, that could be really dangerous for black. That's why Petrosian decides to break the center immediately with the move c5. D takes c5, queen takes c5, and now rook to c1. Again, protecting this pawn doesn't make any sense, because then you get something like knight to e5, liberating the light square diagonal and attack the rook. So in the game, knight to c6 was played by Petrosian, and now knight takes c5 and queen to e7 was played, as we have always this discovered attack possibilities, really some dangerous tactics with some knight to e5 possibilities, and maybe grab this knight on c6 and create further weaknesses in black's position. And maybe Petrosian could have played here rook to d8, counterplaying immediately. Probably this was maybe the best line after something like queen to g5, maybe releasing the pressure, because trading off the queens would be, I think, a good idea after queen takes g5. Now, again, black has some developing problems with the move bishop to d7 is a possibility, but now I still think that white can always play this move knight to d6, which is the main weak square in black's position, and attack here this b7 weakness. So still, you see how much trouble black has here to develop this Lycor bishop. It's really a weird game. Here after queen to e7, Kasparov played simply knight to e5, finally liberating this Lycor diagonal for the bishop. You see, b6 is not a possibility. It won't be a possibility till the rest of the game. So here in the game, knight takes e5 was played, knight takes e5, and now knight to d5 played by Petrosian, which seems like a good move. It's really a great positional move, because basically we're blocking out this light square diagonal. So far, taking out this knight is not such a good idea, as black can always play bishop to e6. You have to maybe cover something like queen to f5, but now I still think we can simplify the position with some bishop takes a2, queen takes a2, queen takes e5. You would continue here from white's perspective the game with some light square problems. So that's why here after the move knight to d5, here is a great move now by Kasparov, rook to d1. Now you see how Kasparov built simply the attack. All of the pieces are on best squares. In the game, knight to b6 was played, and now I want you really to pause the video and try to find the best next move. It's really not so easy to see. It's even not a special move. It's not attacking anything. And here I want you to also show you what Garry Kasparov wrote about this position. Here he said, evaluating this position is not all difficult. The difference difference in placing of the pieces is too great, but the realization of the advantage is made difficult by the absence of weaknesses in Black's position. So you see, what Garry Kasparov meant here is that Black basically doesn't have so many weaknesses in the position. We don't have clear targets here from White's perspective, as Black doesn't have maybe weak pawns. Maybe here the weak square would be d6, but trading off the queens doesn't make sense. So in order to make something happen, here you have to use simply piece activity. So I found really this comment at PGN by Garry Kasparov. It will be in the description below, so you can really watch Garry Kasparov's commentaries on this particular game. They're really great. Here after the move queen to b6, as I said, please pause the video and try to find the Garry Kasparov move. Try to find really it's the winning move, as it really paralyzes the whole Black's position. So I'll give you a couple of seconds. It's really a great move. So okay, I hope you could find this move, because here the move is queen to a5. It seems like nothing special has happened. We didn't attack anything. It's not that we want to take the knight, of course. But the problem now for Black is you cannot play a6. You cannot maybe try to develop with some a6, b5 possibilities. The main counterplay idea of Black's is maybe to play the move f6. That's sort of a positional move. We are trying to kick away this very annoying knight, as it covers here this very important d7 square. But it's not a possibility, because you have this very cool move knight to c4. After trades of knights, here rook takes c4, again you have troubles to develop here this like square bishop. You cannot play here bishop to d7, because we can play simply rook to c7. And if you try, let's see, for instance, if you try to defend it, then we have the possibility to play bishop takes b7. After rook to b8, we can even take another pawn, and this position is simply lost. You cannot move the bishop. Again, Black's pieces would be paralyzed. So you see, f6 is not a possibility. That's the main problem of Black's position. We cannot kick away this knight. In the game, g6 was played by Petrosian, not this move f6, and here Kasparov simply to continue to attack. Rook to d3, with ideas to maybe change the direction of the attack. Here rook to c3, rook to c7, or even try batteries on the d file. So White has really a great flexibility in the game. White really has the dominance. I'm not seeing a clear way how Black should make progress here. If you try here the move rook to d8, that was Petrosian's preparation. The main thematic idea that Kasparov has prepared here is this move queen to c5, because if you take the queen, then rook to d8 happens. You could maybe cover with the queen to f8, but now we can simply take. Here we have the possibility to play rook to king to f8, but now rook to c7. So this is the main tactic that Kasparov has prepared here. f6 doesn't bring you so much, because we can play simply rook to f7 and take this pawn, and again Black is simply lost. So you see, this rook to d3 is a waiting move, but it's also an attacking move, because Black doesn't have any good moves here in the game. Knight to d5 was played, and now very important move e4. Here Garry Kasparov also wrote that it seems that this move would be problematic, as this bishop is blocked out, but Garry Kasparov will find another way how to improve the position of the bishop. After the move e4, knight to b6, again you see again the same problems. Here in the game, bishop to f1. Now we can change again the direction of the attack, but it's not so much about this bishop anymore, because the main problem, as I said, in Black's position is this bishop on c8. We cannot develop it. Again, I'm pointing out, if you try something like bishop to d7, then again we have the spinning ideas, also some dangerous attacks. So you see, Black is really blocked out here. So in the game, after bishop to f1, rook to e8 was played. Again, this idea rook to d8 is problematic. Again, the same tactics, queen to c5. So I wanted to memorize this move, because this will be the key attacking move in Garry Kasparov's position. So this queen to c5 will only happen if rook to d8 happens. You could try maybe something like queen to e8, but the problem about this queen to e8 move is this move knight to g4 that Garry Kasparov has prepared with some fork ideas. And if you try maybe king to g7, then you get queen to c3. You see how white pieces are playing in perfect harmony. Again, black is paralyzed. Black doesn't have anything to do here. So in the game, after the move, pardon me, let's go back. So here, after the move bishop to f1, rook to e8 was played, and now Garry Kasparov simply played rook to d1. Nothing has changed here in the position, as black doesn't have any good moves. So in the game, rook to f8 was played. You see here Petrosian is simply repeating the moves with the rook, and in the game a3. Here Kasparov shows basically Petrosian, you're lost, you don't have any good moves, I can play basically whatever I want, you don't have any good square for your pieces. You see this bishop cannot come out, this knight doesn't have any squares, f6 you saw is not a possibility, we can always attack, counter-attack. In the game, king to g7 was played, and now b3. Here Kasparov shows really that he hasn't worries at all in the position, and now king to g8, now a4, and now comes this move rook to d8, and Kasparov played finally this main idea, this move queen to c5. Again, I'm pointing out, if you try here queen takes c5, then again we have rook to d8, first to check, queen to f8 would be the continuation we can simply take, and again after king takes f8, this move rook to c7, and it's game over. So here you could try, after this move queen to c5, you could try maybe here the move queen to f8, but it's not a possibility, because we have simply queen to c7 is winning the game immediately. After rook takes d1, rook takes d1, the main threat is now to play rook to d8, trapping the queen. Again, you don't have any counterplays. You could try maybe again knight to d7 or similar ideas, but you simply lose a piece. So after the move queen to c5, in this position Petrosian really decided to resign. It's of course a fair decision, because here he was really outplayed by the young Garry Kasparov. At this point, Garry Kasparov was only 19 years old, and we know in 1985 he'll become the world champion in chess in the legendary match against Anatoly Karpov. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot, because it was a little bit different than these other games that we have analyzed so far by Garry Kasparov, with his brutal attacks, with his brutal sacrifices. But this game I really liked. It had really some great boa constrictor motifs. I really liked this types of games with this paralyzing pieces ideas, and here it was really a positional masterpiece by the legendary beast from BlackElo, by the legendary Garry Kasparov. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. Meanwhile, you can watch my other best chess games of all time. Here's the link, and you can also watch my commented chess games played by computers with some Alpha Zero, Lila Zero, Stockfish games, and many, many more. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like this content. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.